We are suddenly transitioned to our five innocent characters inside the van. The shots vary from medium close-up to medium shots narrowing the focus on the individuals. Hooper does this to exempt the outside world until an awful smell makes its presence known.
Franklin's description of the way the workers once killed the cattle at the slaughterhouse will serve as a motif throughout the film. Leatherface and the rest of his family associate their victims as cattle. This association serves as a way for the family to dehumanize their victims and justify their killings as a means of surviving by providing food for their twisted family. Barry Curtis comments in his novel Dark Places, The Haunted House in Film, that the family in the film and other anti-families of horror films, quote, are agents of morality and reminders of the repressed injustices and illegalities of the past, end quote. The group inside the van is also shown, through quick cutting shots, as confined inside their vehicle, awaiting death, much as the cattle are confined inside their holding areas in the slaughterhouse.
As the van is passing by the slaughterhouse, we now get extreme close-ups on the eyes and heads of the cattle. The cross-cutting between the cattle and the characters in the van show a clear connection between the two. At one point, the faces of the cattle take place of the characters in the van, and the characters in the van overlap the images of the cattle. Hooper foreshadows, implying that everyone in the van will not only be trapped like the cattle are, but they will also be treated like the cattle, killed and possibly eaten.
When first seeing the hitchhiker, the group inside the van comment that they are more concerned with what the hitchhiker looks like and how he feels in the heat than their own safety. Their lack of apprehension towards the hitchhiker serves as a way for the movie to date itself. The ways of thinking in the 1970s was much more relaxed than today's paranoid society. Hitchhiking was much more common and socially acceptable during this time as opposed to today, where it is illegal in most states, and drivers on the road tend to avoid and fear hitchhikers due to the impression that the hitchhiker possibly wishes to harm him or her.
As the van drives down the horizon, a carefully composed shot is apparent. An extremely long shot reveals a vast and open space. It's the first time Hooper allows the audience to digest and interpret somewhat of a setting for the film, though the emptiness still leaves room for wonder. The van is extremely small compared to the immense space above it. The sky dominates almost the entire screen, establishing an associative link between the sky and the van. This accentuates the character's dependency on astrology and supernatural explanations.
In letting the hitchhiker into the van, the group is inviting danger and evil into their lives. Their willingness to welcome a stranger into their lives is ultimately their downfall. Their lack of concern and suspicion costs them greatly in the long run.
The hitchhiker's remark about the old way of killing relates to the way his family kills their victims. The family cherishes the past and glorifies the old ways of killing cattle and carries out this practice on their human victims.
We watch the hitchhiker talk about the slaughterhouse with continuous close-up shots of him, giving the audience time to digest every detail of his character. Interestingly, one of the shots includes both the hitchhiker and only the legs of Franklin. This suggests there's a stronger connection between them than with anyone.
The looks on the friends' faces show how they find his behavior strange, and the audience can gather that they are starting to question whether they should have picked him up.
It's really good. You like it?
In the car, there is background music playing that is upbeat and jazz-like. The music is very joyful and seems strange because of what is occurring during the scene. Hooper added subtle elements of dark comedy to balance out the seriousness.
The van takes a divided nature with the friends on one side and the hitchhiker on the other, showing the contrast of the characters within the van. The camera of the hitchhiker is a significant prop because he takes pictures of those that he kills. It ties the hitchhiker to the beginning of the film when there was flashing from an unknown source.
Numerous medium shots and cuts go back and forth between the hitchhiker and the five innocent characters until the hitchhiker grows violent and cuts himself as well as Franklin. As the van speeds up away from him, the hitchhiker smears his blood onto the van. This suggests the van has been marked for death.